The Jackson State Tigers look like they have found their rhythm. They keep winning and winning and winning, and we're going to talk about it even without Coach Prime. We're going to talk about that right after the bumper. Stay tuned. Good people. Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victor Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, today I'm here to talk about the Jackson State Tigers. Coach Prime's team down there in Jackson, Mississippi, running things over there in the SWAC. They just continue to dominate. They get their latest win over I think it's a pretty good Texas Southern team, TSU, down there in Texas. And Jackson State got a nice win, 41-21, thanks to some great play by their quarterback, Deion Sanders. 25 completions, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, only got sacked one time. The running game came to play, 223 yards rushing, 104 by Peyton Pickett, who had 2 touchdowns, another 94 yards rushing by J.D. Martin, who had a 51-yard long run touchdown and a touchdown of his own. Santi Marshall did get some light work. He added 16 on the ground for 223 yards. Keith Corbin continues to establish himself as the go-to target for Deion Sanders. Keith Corbin continues to register yards after yard after yard, just big play after big play. Mr. Reliable, but Mr. Touchdown is Malachi Wideman, who added 2 more touchdowns on the year in this game. I mean, just throw the ball up to Malachi at 6'4". He's going to make some plays for sure. Now, I'm saying all of these things to tell you about what's taking place with Jackson State. I want to run through some of the stats, though, on the year. I mean, Deion Sanders, man, he is just having one heck of a year. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's got 23 touchdowns through the air. He's just dominating all SWAC defenses and receiving. The guys that I really, like I said, Keith Corbin leads the team with, let's see, with 685 yards on the year. Malachi Wideman right behind him with 401 yards receiving, but he has 9 touchdowns. That's the thing. Malachi Wideman is Mr. Get Me a Touchdown all the way. So here's the thing. So Coach Prime has missed the last 3 games due to his foot surgery. So for those of you who don't know, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, had foot surgery. You know, he's had bad feet for a long time after, playing all those years, Hall of Fame career, both in college and in the NFL. And, it took a toll on his body, took a toll on his feet. And so he recently had foot surgery. After the surgery, he was actually back pretty quick. He was riding around on his motorcycle, riding around on his scooter, doing all that. But the recovery wasn't going the way it needed to go. So the doctors, it sounds like they told him to stay home. And he's been at home over the last several weeks. And Coach Flea has taken over as the interim head coach and has led the team to 3-0. Now, it hasn't always been perfect. This game against Texas Southern wasn't perfect. It was tied 21-21 for the longest. But Jackson State was able to score 3 unanswered touchdowns and win the game 41-21. So I'm saying all of this to say this. I think we are starting to see the Jackson State team round into form. Now, it sucks because their head coach isn't there, and they would love for their head coach to be a part of, the continuing maturation of the team, right? The team is literally, we're watching them perform. We're watching them get better. We're watching them become the team that we always knew they were going to end up becoming with all this talent right in front of our eyes. The reason why Jackson State is able to be so great, too, I'm going to keep alluding to it, is the fact that they have a mature quarterback. See, it's really hard to win games at any level of football, but specifically at the Division I level in college or college period and at the pros without the right quarterback. We see all of these great teams, both at the college level and especially at the pro level, and how good their overall team is, but they don't have the quarterback position right, and so therefore their team is limited, supremely limited in what they can do and what they will be. See, Jackson State has the the signal caller, the right one that's going to make them and break them. Well, make them, not break them, make them in a lot of games, and that will allow them to win a lot of games because he is so talented. That is Shedeur Sanders. We spoke about it. 23 touchdowns on the year. I think only one interception on the year. One interception to 23 touchdowns. That's a hell of a ratio. I mean, that is a hell of a ratio for Shedeur. Or maybe he has 3. He has less than 5. So he's got, I think it might be actually 3. 3 interceptions to 23 touchdowns. It's crazy. The distribution of the ball. Obviously, he has his favorite in Keith Corbin, and then he has his red zone guy in Malachi Wideman, the transfer from Tennessee, and Keith Corbin is the transfer from Houston, who continue to make plays. You get the right quarterback with the right skill set, with the right guys around them. This team, I mean, it's hard to beat a team. It's hard to stop an offense from scoring. Now, their offensive line, I like the offensive line, and it only gave up 1 sack in this game, but the pressure, especially, I didn't do a review after the Mississippi State game, but in the Mississippi Valley State game, not Mississippi State, Mississippi Valley State, sorry about that. At the Mississippi Valley State was able to get some pressure. Mississippi Valley State made some plays against Shedeur. They made some plays against this Jackson State offense. They sacked him twice, and they were in his face a number of times. Now, that Jackson State defense is nasty, led by James Houston, who I think should be SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, by the way, but that's just me. But this team is really, really good. This team, they have 2 SWAC games left. They have a game against Southern, which will be a whiteout at home. And they have 2 home games left. This is the end of their season. 2 home games left against Southern and their senior day against Alcorn. Though these are going to be 2 must-win games. These are going to be 2 games that will tell people. Now, we already kind of know obviously we know where the program is going. And with more success comes more chatter. I'm hearing TCU with Coach Prime. We heard USC at one point. Reggie Bush brought it up with Coach Prime. But TCU, because Coach Prime has a house down in that Dallas-Fort Worth area. He lives down in that Dallas-Fort Worth area. The TCU chatter is going to get loud. But with these 2 games, especially if they don't have their head coach, these 2 games will tell us a lot about how far the program already is. If they are able to go out and beat Southern and beat Alcorn and head to a SWAC championship game, this program is light years ahead of schedule. To me, now to some of you, you'll say, hey, they got all the best recruits. They got Deion Sanders. They should be able to do X, Y, and Z, and yada, yada. And there's some truth to that. But there's one thing to recruit kids, right? To recruit the best players. There is one thing to do that. And there's another thing to go out there and execute. There is another thing to go out there and remain undefeated in conference play. To honestly being, 2-3 plays away from having an undefeated season. The Louisiana Monroe, which was the only loss on the season, by the way, it took place in week 3, and they haven't lost a game since. They lost 12-7. They had a bad day. This was before they made the change at offensive coordinator. Let's not forget that. This is before the change at offensive coordinator. Once that change in offensive coordinator was made, they have been lighting up the scoreboard. They made the change at offensive coordinator after the Delta State game, right? Are we correct? They made it during the bye week after the Delta State game. And these are the points they put up. They won the Delta State game 24-17. And after that game, they haven't scored under 28 points the rest of the season. We got 61, 28, 42, 28, 41 points. Once the change was made at offensive coordinator, the playbook opened up. It took the training wheels off of everybody, Shedeur included. The playbook opened up. They started running the ball more. They started incorporating different running backs. Santee Marshall getting more carries. J.D. Martin getting more carries. Now, Peyton Pickett came back and was a dog in this game, right? Not to say that they don't need him, but they incorporated more explosive, more athletic running backs outside of Peyton Pickett. Peyton Pickett is tough. He's a hard runner, but he isn't that explosive big play back. Santi Marshall has more of that in him. J.D. Martin has a lot more of that in him. And this offense has exploded ever since. Not in it. If I believe now, this is me just being hypothetical, but if they were to play Louisiana Monroe right now, it would be a different ball game. It wouldn't be a 12-7 loss. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that. Remember, against Florida A&M, they only scored 7 points, and then it was week 1, and in week 3, they only scored 7 points. And a loss. The Florida A&M 7 points was enough to win the game. The 7 points against UL Monroe wasn't enough, and they lost. And then that close game, only scoring 24 points and just not looking efficient against Delta State. Scoring a bunch of points and then going long droughts without scoring. That's when the offensive change was made. And it's been made for the benefit. I really like what Jackson State's got going on. I really think Jackson State should win the SWAC championship and should be headed to a Celebration Bowl. But let me not get ahead of myself because they still have to beat Southern. They still have to beat Alcorn. Because this is the revenge tour. Remember, all of these teams they lost to during the spring. They lost to Southern. They didn't play Alcorn, but Alcorn felt like they were the best SWAC team. They didn't play in the spring, but they lost to Southern, and they need to go and beat them. They lost to Alabama State. They beat them 28-7. They lost to Alabama A&M, who won the spring championship, and they beat them on their homecoming 61-15. So now it's time to check every list, check every box off that list with the Southern game this week. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on Jackson State versus Southern this week in Baton Rouge. Actually, I said it was at home. It's actually at Baton Rouge, at Southern in Baton Rouge. Let me know your thoughts. And that game will be on ESPN3, so it shouldn't be too bad to find like some of these other games. But ESPN3 is the place to go for the Jackson State at Southern this week. Let me know your thoughts in the chat and a prediction in the chat and in the comments. Thank you. My name is Jeff Lights Jr. with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, you can follow me at JLighty7. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at JLighty7. And on Facebook, it's Jeff Lighty Sports. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.